I'm not the best accent guy in the world, but I feel like today's prospect is somebody that sounds the best when you say it with a Boston, Massachusetts kind of accent. Let's talk today about a Montreal Canadiens prospect that, in the eyes of some NHL scouts like Craig Button on TSN, is an extraordinarily underrated player, and who's somebody that you should probably be paying attention to as his career progresses from junior into pro hockey. Today's prospect is none other than Arber Xhekaj. And the reason I say it like that is because I said, accents. It's kind of a funny name. It's one that you don't see every day. But Arber Xhekaj is indeed somebody that I think you should be paying attention to. And I wanted to just kind of get this out of the way first and foremost that yes, his name is pronounced like that. It's like Xhekaj, which is like Jack as in Jack and the Beanstalk, and eye as in you have two eyeballs. It's like Jack-Eye, but you kind of Jacques it up a little bit on the Jack, so Xhekaj. It's a very interesting name, and it's probably one you're going to want to get familiar with over the years, because when it comes to Arber Xhekaj, this is a guy that I think has really bolstered himself up as one of the more underrated Bergevin moves towards the end of his tenure over here. So, who is Arber Xhekaj? Why are we talking about this guy here today? And what has he done that's put him on the radar? Well, Xhekaj is a January 2001 born left-handed defenseman, 6'4", 225, so he's 21 years old, who is playing for the Hamilton Bulldogs in, I was about to say the OHL, but currently he's playing in the Memorial Cup. And for the Hamilton Bulldogs, he has been an absolute rock defensively for this team, and he's really taken a big step up during the OHL playoffs. Now, Xhekaj is actually an undrafted prospect. He's only belonging to the Canadiens because he signed a contract with them earlier in 2021. But as a free agent signing, he's shown off in more ways than one this year just why it was that Bergevin had him on his radar. He made his debut in the OHL with the Kitchener Rangers in 2018-19, where, in 59 games played, the guy only had 3 points. Now, he was 18 when this happened, so this was in his draft season, actually, and the numbers are not really great. You're not going to see a defenseman who puts up 3 points in 59 games and puts up a minus 28 get drafted into the NHL in a significant role. The year after, he had 17 points in 51 games. It's his draft plus 1. Okay, I mean, there's been some progression there. It's good to see. He certainly did not turn heads to the point that he got drafted as an overager, but still, as a guy progressing through the Ontario Hockey League, you'd rather see development than not. Now, in 2020-2021, the guy didn't actually play any games at all. The OHL shut down, and as such, Arber Xhekaj did not get any playing time. It's before the 2021 season began, though, that Marc Bergevin signed this guy to a contract, and it was really interesting noting just why it was this was even signed. He played a little bit in the preseason, and honestly, I was really impressed. Like, remembering what we saw in October of Arber Xhekaj suiting up in a Montreal Canadiens sweater, there was a lot more to like out of this guy and his overall profile than not. He was a big player, and he actually played the game pretty well, even though he was a guy that was fresh out of a year's worth of not playing, going into NHL preseason competition. There were a lot of good qualities to his game. He showed off his tools as a big guy in his own zone. He was able to transition the puck forward properly and often. There were many people going out there and saying, hey, this free agent signing out of the OHL is a pretty good one, Marc Bergevin. He went back to the Kitchener Rangers system, had 17 points in 18 games, so a point-per-game defenseman as their alternate captain, and then he got traded over to the stacked Hamilton Bulldog squad, where he only put up 17 points in 33 games. Now, you could go out there and say, the Bulldogs are a pretty stacked team, this guy's coming over, partway through the year, so they're not going to go out there and say that he is an immediate number one player, because they already have other guys in their squad that also make them stacked that they have loyalty to, right? In the postseason, though, Xhekaj actually did get a lot more of an extended role, getting 16 points in 18 games, and now, at the time of recording this audio, he's got 3 points in 3 Memorial Cup games, suiting up against the Edvinsson Oil Kings, Caden Gooley, the St. John Sea Dogs hosting team, as well as the Shawinigan Cataracts. Now, point production aside, the reason we're talking about Arber Xhekaj here is because of a segment that Craig Button had on Montreal TSN 690. Here is the little audio hit on the website. TSN Director of Scouting Craig Button on TSN 690 yesterday discussed Habs prospect Arber Xhekaj. There's a 1 minute and 36 second long video on Twitter that I will leave a link to in the description. He says, I think the Montreal Canadiens have a bona fide NHL prospect and someone that will play with the Habs for the future. He talks in this audio hit about more things, how Xhekaj has a very good initiation factor to his game, how he's so willing to actually catalyze things on the ice and transition things forward. He has a very good mentality when it comes to processing the game, alongside of the physical tools and the puck skills that he also has. Now, a lot of people were kind of memeing this Craig Button interview, saying things like this on the subreddit. "Ah, darn it, man, I liked Xhekaj. Oh well, we'll get him with the next one." Why is Jack P123 saying this? Well, it's because Craig Button has the kiss of death, where if he says somebody is good, it means that they're not going to be good, and a lot of Canadiens fans are just kind of satirically memeing about that idea. But this right here really is the ultimate progression story, and Button went out there and said that in the audio hit too, that you want everybody to be able to progress forward and actually show off growth throughout their youth, but not everybody does that at the same rate. Arber Xhekaj was undrafted at the OHL level. He was undrafted at the NHL level too. He had just been working his way up and getting these contracts, and as a result, Canadiens fans saw him last year in the preseason and were kind of blown away. Hey, this guy's pretty good. Where the heck did this guy come from? Now, he's 21, playing against kids in the OHL, and to be fair, you could say that he's supposed to go out there and dominate players in the way that he's dominating them, but in the NHL, during the preseason, he still was looking pretty dominant as well, so I definitely do think there's a lot more than meets the eye here when you're acknowledging that this is a guy doing well in junior as a 21-year-old. This is what the Dobber Prospects report says on Xhekaj. He's a tough, old-school, physical defenseman. While he does have some skill and is a good skater for his size, his niche in the NHL, if he makes it, will be as a physically dominant defensive defenseman with a limited offensive ceiling. He would be an especially intriguing add in any league, using hits and penalty minutes as he puts up a ton of both. Obviously, that last sentence is referring to fantasy draft summaries, but either way, Xhekaj signed an entry-level deal with the Canadiens in October 2021, following a strong rookie in training camp with the team on a tryout. He more than fit Marc Bergevin's vision of his defensive core, a huge and physical minute muncher, and was likely viewed as a potential Ben Sherratt successor. Xhekaj is among the OHL's strongest and most punishing players, and he has the penalty minutes to show for it, with 136 in 50 games. This reveals Xhekaj's greatest fault and hurdle in making it to the NHL. Discipline. He is a surprisingly skilled player for a hulking undrafted defenseman. He can rush the puck from one end to the other if given space, and has the hands and vision to outmaneuver opposing D-men. Sebastian High writes about how even though the execution of his passes requires more refinement, the vision he demonstrates as well as his scanning habits, both with and without the puck, give him a decent ceiling as a puck-moving defenseman. He is also a solid skater, generates good speed after 3 or more strides, he has the four-way mobility to be able to quickly adapt to even the most complex odd-man rushes engineered by the OHL's top talents. He has the talent to one day make it to the NHL, and he tilts the ice in the right direction when he's on it, but the problem is that he is so often in the penalty box for needlessly aggressive penalties, often a result of his short fuse. The upward trajectory in his development will plateau if he does not find a way to add an element of discipline to his game and eliminate most of the unnecessary infractions he takes. Despite all this, though, he is a highly entertaining player to watch, and it says that he'll join the Laval Rocket after his Hamilton Bulldogs playoff run. Sorry, that's not going to be the case because, Laval, the AHL playoffs are already over, and the Memorial Cup is going on right now, and Xhekaj is playing there. By the way, this is like the longest ever individual report that I've seen for any player on Dobber Prospects. Sebastian High, you really did yourself a good one here. Pat on the back to you, buddy, for sure. But either way, Arber Xhekaj is a guy that definitely has a good, strong forward path that I think everybody should be paying attention to when you acknowledge where he came from and where he could be going next season. If everything works out, the Montreal Canadiens could have themselves a very tough defense core to play against, with guys like Xhekaj, you have Kaiden Guhle, and Alexander Romanov all panning out. If they all get to their ceilings, this could be one of the more defensively shutdownable... Okay, no, that's the wrong way to put it. This could be one of the more competent decors in the entire league when it comes to just purely shutting down opposition. So, tell me in the comments all your thoughts about Hamilton Bulldogs defenseman Arber Xhekaj, how he has progressed so far, how he's doing against Kaiden Guhle and the Oil Kings. We've been saying the entire time, talking about Edmonton, that, hey, Kaiden Guhle's this, Kaiden Guhle's that, he's good, but you do have this Arber Xhekaj on the other side, suiting up for Hamilton, that is also a Canadiens guy and who's also pretty good as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.